Oh, that's great. Well, we'll take two here, and I'm going to talk about plain text files again and why I love them so much. I actually do really love plain text files. Hopefully, we'll know why in about 12 slides. Plain text files are there's no styling built in. You might have opened up Notepad on Windows or well, you can have styling in text edit on Mac, but there's a method for both. There's it's just the characters. Like literally, you're just getting the characters in the file. It's readable by us. It's readable by the machine, and it usually has an extension like a TXT for text or an MD that's for Markdown. I'm sure you've seen CSV. That's a comma separated value. That's a major way that we transfer data back and forth between computer systems even today. So plain text files, and I've been using them for my whole career, they've been around since the beginning. In the early 60s and 50s, there might have been punch cards and systems that you would enter data in the files through the punch cards and get the output through printouts. Those files might have been stored in different formats that would be a little difficult for us to open. But you get to around the 1969, 1970s, and we could pretty much open up all those files from then to today. So if you had files way back on your college computer and somehow you could get it onto your computer today, that could be a feat, by the way, because it could be on tape or some weird floppy disk or something. But if you had that file, we could probably just open it up in Notepad on Windows or just view it right in with the text edit app. It's really interesting. And there was a split around that time, and the split was philosophically of how we store the settings in our computer. Do we want to have a big hive where we store everything in one big giant file? We call it a registry on Windows. Or do we want to have thousands and thousands of small little text files that are easy to read and parse and manage? That's the Unix philosophy. And today that still happens. Windows still has a registry, and Mac OS, which is a Unix operating system, still has thousands of text files. And Linux also uses lots and lots of text files. It's interesting that we're still dealing with this. Um, One thing I like to think of plain text files is kind of like the Latin of all the file formats. Most of the files that we deal with are a little fancier. You might be used to having your Word documents with lots of headings and boldface and different fonts and all kinds of designs, and you can draw boxes and put pictures on there, but you could still read a plain text file in Word or Pages. So the operating systems themselves use plain text files everywhere. So I mentioned that Mac OS and Unix, they use them for all their settings, but Windows uses them also. If you were to go into the to one of the Windows system folders, you'll see these .ini folders. And that's where you're going to have the settings for different programs, different things, and you can open that up with Notepad if you're an administrator. And in Mac OS, we have these property lists, these .p list folders. They're usually just plain text. Sometimes there's a couple p lists now that have become weird, and you need an editor for them. But a lot of it's just plain text files. When you're investigating a big system looking for problems, you're going to go look through the logs, sort of the errors, the list of all the activities happening. That's all going to be text. And programs, all of our programs they all boil down to plain text. Now there's some kid programs where you can drag a block and design your program with sort of block based programming. It's all plain text underneath. And when we look at really fancy code editors, I know I've mentioned a couple in class this semester over the summer, and VS Code or BB Edit or something like that, Notepad++. They're just fancy plain text editors. That's it. They give you tools for programming like syntax highlighting and You might have version control built in or something, but it's just plain text. Okay. So plain text for data storage, if you've ever had an Excel file and you wanted to go open it up somewhere else, you might have exported it as a CSV, comma separated value. You might be working with Google Sheets and then export that and bring it into to your Excel file or bring it into Numbers on Apple. It's a real easy way to pass data back and forth. And on the web right now, a lot of data is transferred with this JSON. That's a JavaScript object notation, which is also plain text. Of course, JavaScript and websites and HTML, it's all written in plain text. So, what's so special about plain text that I want to bring it up today in class when we already have much fancier things? Well, for one, we can use it as a basis for um, other formats. For example, I can write plain text in what's called Markdown, which has a couple of little symbols to indicate style, even though you don't see it. But then I can, with a simple command, convert those files to PDFs or PowerPoints or keynotes like this one. Although the keynote was a two-step thing, but that's a little different. So the nice thing for me is I don't have to worry about my plain text files going away. I remember way back in like 2006, I think, I really loved the this outliner, the idea of an outliner where I would sort of build these multiple levels into a file of an outline. And I had a really great outliner, Omni outliner, I think, and I had lots and lots of files, maybe over 100 files that I worked with regularly, and I sort of built some of my early classes. But then every time there's an OS update, Omni Outliner needed to be updated, and it was like $50, $50, $50. Eventually, I stopped using the outline files because I could just maintain my plain text. There's nothing wrong with paying $50 a year to or every time you need an upgrade. That's fine. I just decided after many upgrades, oh boy, if I don't pay for the software, I can't open my files anymore. And that kind of bothered me a little bit. So I don't have any paywall issues or proprietary formats with text. I just give up that the beautiful formatting. So this is where it really shines. And this is what it's really proven to me, this idea that I picked up way back when I kind of gave up outlining and went to text files was 20 years ago. I started making plain text notes on my computer, and I'm still opening those. I still have them. I carry them around with me on my phone in case I ever need them. I probably won't need some of those old ones, but they're there. And 20 years from now, 50 years from now, maybe even 100 years from now, my great grandkids, I suppose, they might have a hard drive with Grandpa Sable's great grandpa Sable's text files, and they might be looking through my notes to sort of pick my virtual brain or something. I don't know. It'll probably all get thrown away, but whatever. Anyway, they plain text files do survive operating systems and migrations. They're easy to back up. They're small. You can have thousands or tens of thousands of them, and it doesn't really take up any space on your computer. But you really do give up like a layout. You give up that beautiful newsletter. You give up having the meaning conveyed in the formatted text. So we have lots of tricks in plain text that we do. Most people are never going to do those, like drawing little boxes in the text or putting little dashes or that kind of thing. That's a little overrated. But if you want to have data that lasts forever, plain text is a good way to do it. So, is there a future for plain text? Yeah. Right now, all the AI tools are using plain text for their prompts. All the logs are plain text. All the data that they're reading is all plain text. So, it's not going anywhere anytime soon. Thank you.